It's official. Top NBC University ad executive and World Economic Forum Task Force chair is Twitter's new CEO. Now, you have taught me a lot about Elon Musk, and maybe he's done some good things somewhere, and maybe he's done some bad things somewhere. But I'm telling you, I am not on the Elon Musk train. His girlfriend, I think he had a child with, who seems to be into the occult and other weird things. I think he's praised China. Of course, I think he gets a lot of his batteries and stuff from China. He's talked about mandatory minimum incomes or minimum incomes, I think, if I remember reading correctly. There's a lot of things about Elon Musk that give me real red flags. Now, here's another one. He just hired a bigwig from the World Economic Forum to run Twitter. That's not a good sign.
Well, it isn't. And it looks like good old Elon has been playing 4D chess along the way here. We kind of expected this before. Like, what's he up to? I said early on that Elon Musk is one of the greatest grandstanders the world has ever seen. He's a master at it. His whole career has been based on his ability to grandstand a situation to get publicity, to get people excited about it, etc. And he did it again with Twitter. Now, we don't know the end of the story yet, not totally. But this latest shoe that dropped with this, by bringing in this new executive from NBC, Forbes named this lady as one of the top 100 most powerful women in the world. This woman is no slouch. She's tightly associated with the establishment, especially with the World Economic Forum. It's and not just one thing at the WEF, but actually 3 different things where she's in leadership roles and so on, especially when it comes to misinformation, disinformation, censorship, etc., which the WEF is very concerned about. So here she comes in, a Class A1 technocrat, as far as I'm concerned, marrying up or matching up now with Elon Musk, who definitely is a Class A1 technocrat. And for people who don't know this, I'm just going to say it out again. His grandfather, Elon Musk's grandfather, was in charge of the technocracy movement in Canada during the 1930s and 40s. Elon was raised in a technocrat home. They migrated to South Africa. He was where he grew up, and he grew up in a home that was steeped in technocracy doctrine. And he's exhibited those traits ever since, I have to say. So now I say, and I've said this many times before, when it comes to technocrats, birds of a feather flock together. Now we see, the marriage being made, and I have to say this advertising executive is exactly what Elon needs right now to build back up his ad revenue, but she's a Class A1 globalist. She's associated closely with the WEF, the World Economic Forum. And what can you say? That, we've been talking about Elon for a long time. You mentioned his girlfriend, Grimes, the musician who is self-declared pagan witch. Really, she is. You can go read up on her. And when you think, if you had a girlfriend who sang, you might think at night, maybe when you're getting kind of intimate and cozy, you'd ask her to sing a little song for you, a little melody or something, just to kind of, get ready to maybe have a good night's sleep. Well, listen to one of her greatest songs that she likes, called "We Appreciate Power," which says, "We appreciate power, we appreciate power, power. What will it take to make you capitulate? We appreciate power, we appreciate power. Pray to the divinity, the keeper of the key. One day, everyone will believe. What does it take to make you capitulate? We appreciate power." This is Elon Musk. This is his girlfriend. This is his life. He's closely tied in now, as we can see, with a very global elite that we have been worried about for so long now and talking about for so many years.
Absolutely. So is this going to mean, can you really see Twitter allowing you to be on Twitter criticizing the World Economic Forum and all these other things if she's going to be running this thing?
There's a phrase that Steve Bannon uses a lot. It's like, there are no conspiracies, but there are no coincidences either.
Right.
And I'm looking at this right now, scratching my head all over the place. If this is all dovetailing to for a particular purpose, there's no way that this could have been just set up as a coincidental thing. I would not believe that whatsoever. But now we find independently that Tucker Carlson has decided to air his show on Twitter. Just what, 10 days ago, he
Right.
announced this. So he's going in full press into Twitter, going to bring tens of millions of people onto Twitter who are arch conservatives, potentially. You just have to wonder, is he the super magnet now that will bring all of these conservative people into the orbit of Twitter so that they can be manhandled as controlled opposition? You have to ask that question. I'm not going to be dogmatic or definitive right now, but to me, it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. It absolutely doesn't look good. So we'll see where this goes. All right. So here is another story today that was out. Scientists can now read your mind. AI turns people's thoughts into text in real time. This is being done at the University of Texas. And what they were doing was they were putting people into an MRI machine. And I guess this was being done over the course of like 16 hours. And over the course of that 16 hours, was listening to podcasts in an MRI machine for the computer model to finally understand their brain patterns that could then interpret what they were thinking. Now, it has about a 50% success rate right now, but they're just starting. What are the implications of this?
Well, when you go back and look at the genesis of this whole technology area, it was Barack Obama during his administration who created this brand new initiative called Mapping the Human Brain. He said it was going to be as important as mapping the human genome during the late 90s. And he threw hundreds of millions of dollars at the project to universities all around our country, and some of the money ended up overseas as well. Map the human brain. Find out what makes the human brain tick. This has led to all this brain implant stuff like what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink, and other companies are doing the same thing, trying to, stick things into the brain to get signals to come out so they can figure out how the brain works. Well, they figured out through this MIA process using artificial intelligence to examine the signals coming out of the MRI unit. They figured out now that they can actually create or lift or extract text messages from your mind. You see, this is all about mapping the human brain. What makes every single synapse work? The scientists of the world, the neurotechnology people of the world that are studying this stuff are just hell-bent for what to get the human brain completely mapped, understood, to where you will not be able to have a mind of your own anymore. They want to know everything that's in your mind. And boy, I'll tell you, this technology, it just shows you they're bearing fruit. Their research is bearing fruit, and it's just started. And they said in this particular article, they said, we're just embryonic in this. If they can get 50% on day one, you can just see where this is going to go. Give it a couple more years, a few $100 million more, they're going to crack this nut wide open.
Yeah, indeed they are. And then you add in things like Neuralink, which he's working on, Elon Musk is, and other people. They're not the only ones. I mean, he's not the only one. I saw another company today that's put this into like 50 people. You seen that right? So
yes,
obviously, if they start hooking this stuff to the internet, now we're off to reading people's minds, kind of like
yes.
Minority Report.
Well, it really is. There's been so many science fiction movies that have kind of come to life recently, and it's not quite accurate to try and understand what's going on today by going back and listening to the Minority Report movie. But anybody that's seen the movie is going to see some obvious parallels in it.
Right.
And now understanding, mapping the human brain, finding out what every little synapse does, what every portion of the brain does, how to extract information from the brain, how to put information into the brain. This is what this is all about. And by the way, this is very clearly a branch of technology that is very closely related to transhumanism. We need to make that point. This is part of the transhuman scientific discipline to understand the human brain. They want to download the human brain one day into a computer so that they can live forever and escape death and travel the universe, who knows, in the nose of a rocket ship or something, or as an avatar, whatever. but this is very closely related to transhumanism.
Tell me about this one. UK's first three-parent baby born using DNA replacement technology. What are your
Nothing to
thoughts?
see. Nothing to see here. Move along. Okay, listen. This is not the first time that this has happened. There was one other time that there was genetic manipulation, and so on, but this is the first big one. They took genes from three people, combined them so that a baby could be born without a certain genetic defect, they said. But this is genetic engineering of the human embryo and the resulting human that would grow out of it. Ethical studies, where are the ethics people on this protesting? Well, there is none. Basically, there's none. They think this is just the greatest thing that ever happened, and they're going to continue the research no matter what. We know that genetic engineering of human beings is a fait accompli. They've already kind of cracked the nut. Pandora's box has been opened, however you want to express it. It's downhill from here. And it's more than a slippery slope. It's going to yield some very, very dangerous outcomes that nobody wants to deal with, I'm sure. But this is an example. This should horrify people. Three different genes or parts of genetic structure taken from three different people to create a unified embryo that will grow in the woman, the surrogate, to bring it to birth. This is just frightening, absolutely frightening.
So, what other news are you covering that you're concerned about tonight? What else are you covering at technocracy.news?
Oh boy, this is enough to make your head spin right here. I've been doing a lot of research now, again, on Elon Musk. I've studied Musk for many years, and I've studied his relationship, his girlfriend, Grimes, who's a self-professed pagan witch. I'm now trying to study who this new CEO is and what she's going to bring to the table, trying to kind of connect the dots, Brandon, on, like I said, there are no conspiracies, but there's no coincidences either. Trying to figure out, okay, where does she fit? And I'm just asking the question. I'm not trying to I don't want to, spin anybody up on a conspiracy theory here, but you have to ask the question, who knew what and when? Who suggested that Musk should hire this particular woman at this particular time? Was it a phone call that was emanated perhaps from the World Economic Forum itself? Was it perhaps from NBC corporate, deep state giant that gave her up and, intentionally? Or is she just a renegade figuring, I'm done with NBC, whatever, I'm going to go over and make a bunch of money with Elon Musk? Can't answer those questions yet. But I think they're going to be important questions moving forward. I want to know. I want to know who set this thing up this way.
Well, and if she's coming over from NBC, is she there not just for ad revenue, but is he about to launch his own television network?
Absolutely, he is. He's morphing his company into X. That's going to call it, SpaceX is for space, but he wants to morph his company into much, much more than just a social media platform. He's got a lot of other things hanging in the balance here. He's got a cell phone company that potentially he could sell millions of cell phones to Twitter users. He's got other media aspirations. Obviously, if Tucker Carlson thinks that he can broadcast his whole show through Twitter, that tells you right now we're talking about a new streaming platform. Otherwise, Tucker wouldn't touch it. That's what he came from. So there's going to be a lot of new announcements that come out of this partnership, I am sure. It also speaks to me that there's going to likely be another public offering at some point, maybe for X.com, maybe not for Twitter.com, but for X.com as a parent company. There's probably going to be a public offering someday. My guess is this new CEO is going to have a boatload of options, stock options, whatever. She probably will get very filthy, stinking rich out of this.